and gentlemen, my name is Eddie Marcus, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. That means you, every last one of you, during this day, this time, in these bodies, experiencing the best that life has to offer. I've chosen to speak a moment, if you will allow me to do so, on the subject matter, fed up. Supposedly, America was founded by people who were fed up. Such are the examples of school killings by people who are fed up, or kids. Killings on jobs, snipers, suicide bombers, rebellions, all are the result of people who are fed up. But fed up with what? Oppression, which is unjust, cruel exercise of authority or power. Fed up with repression. Fed up with crime and violence. Fed up with the inability to experience their dream of life. And this fed up statement is directed to all politicians, local, state, and national levels, including the U.S. President and his challenger, the U.S. Congress, including the Senate and the House of Representatives. It includes the United Nations. It's directed to lawyers and doctors, directed to university presidents, those with PhDs, and others with master's degrees, directed to the Pope, to the church, including the bishops, the elders, preachers, priests, rabbis. It's also directed to teachers, to news reporters and commentators, publishers and editors, entertainers, actors, musicians, singers, and athletes. Is directed to workers and average people everywhere. Explain to the people and me why oppression must exist. Explain to the people and me why poverty must exist. Why repression, crime and violence, unemployment, homelessness, terrorism and war, prostitution, gambling, drug trafficking must exist in light of the fact that every human on earth can live as if in paradise. Why support systems which rob others of not just the basic essentials of life, food, clothing, shelter, education, health care, and jobs, but also a great life of peace, prosperity, and joy? Why support exploitation of other nations to the extent of genocide, oftentimes for the benefit of a few? Why do people of this nation support all these negatives just so a few can have golden parachutes, trillions and billions and million-dollar bank accounts, and the idea that though 300 million of you don't have such a lifestyle, the hope remains that one day you might win the lottery? How can all Americans act so inhumane? What kind of God is leading such activities? Is the answer the support of money? To support selfishness? To be superior to others? I ask this question because the answer is important to me. I own nothing. I sacrifice profit at the hands of a system that is as ugly as this, in hopes that you will one day renew your mind, if not by maturity, maybe by a belief in a superior God, and decide to make this world as wonderful as humanly possible, without waiting for someone else to force it upon you. I'm no better than you. I'm no kinder than you. I just want to be able to look in the eyes of everyone I meet and know that my living caused them no harm. And the excitement in their eyes is because they are satisfied. I ask you, consider changing your minds. Changing your minds at a time when billions of dollars are being spent in this presidential election season to keep things as they are. It doesn't matter whether the President of the United States currently is reelected or whether he's replaced by someone new. Things will not get any better because the path that we are traveling is the path that is laid down to take things where they are and deeper into degradation. I ask you as people with a heart, I ask you as people who's supposed to have compassion, and I say these things to you, ladies and gentlemen, because I feel the pain of not having. Today you might look at me and say I'm dressed like I'm somebody, but I want you to know that these things that I have on are not mine. They are given to me. The house I live in is not mine. It is provided for me. The food I eat is not mine. It is provided for me. And you say, well, you don't want it to be provided to you. You want to have your own, even if it means that I can't have any. Sure, ladies and gentlemen, I know you say if a man doesn't work, he shouldn't eat. I work all the time. What am I doing now? I'm working. But what if I'm going to a job that will leave millions unemployed, that will leave millions without health care, that will leave millions without the basic essentials of life, education, no peace, no joy? You know what that means? Prostitution up, gambling up, drug trafficking up, killing in schools up, snipers up, terrorism up, war up, genocide up, all because the system that we are following will not eliminate the negatives that I have mentioned here. And it is because it will not be eliminated have I sacrificed so I can feel the pain of those who are suffering. I know the answer, while many who are suffering have no idea. And those of you who are benefiting have no idea. And yet, though I proclaim that these things have a solution, no one is asking me what that solution is. When I send it to the media, they dump it in the trash. When I take it to those who say they care about others, they dump it in the trash. When I take it to the church, they dump it in the trash. And yet, they say they love you. They say that this is the greatest nation on earth. They say that God is alive and they are representing God. And I say, where? Where? Where is the Good Samaritan? Is it in America's system? Is it in Christianity? What good is it to have a soup line and under bridges? Where's the compassion there when a system that allows it for people to have their homes taken away from them? Where is the compassion of a great nation? I see no compassion. But yet I know that deep down in every last one of you, black, white, men, women, young and old, the same love that I speak to you of today is embedded in you because you are made of the same stuff that I'm made of. I realize that if you got some food on your table, you know not the hunger of those who don't. I know if you got a house for shelter, you know not the pain of those who sleep under bridges or in tents or in the YWCA, YMCA, the mission. I know if you got a quarter in your pocket, you don't experience the same suffering as those whose pockets got a hole in it or no pocket at all. I know that those of you who have a car don't experience the pain of those who can only get someplace by walking. I know when the gas prices go up or when the milk prices are threatening to go up, and though you refuse to do anything about it and don't want to pay the price, you will pay it. But you don't feel the pain and suffering of those who want milk but don't have any money to pay for milk. I know this because I'm paying the price every day. So I can tell you without you having to go through the same suffering. I want you to know that you can change your mind today. And today all of this negativeness can stop. Not tomorrow. It can stop today, and it must stop today. Now, when you go to those polls, and before you go to those polls, when you hear the debate coming up this Wednesday, tomorrow, between the president and his challenger, many of you will be listening as if you're at a baseball game or football game, cheering for what your side says, not having any compassion for the speaking of those on the other side. And yet, most of you will be in churches a few days from now, glorifying a God that sets one church on one hill, another church on another hill, talking about the same God, but they cannot come together. What has happened? There's a deception. There's a deception in the air. I knew long ago as a young boy this was going on. I told myself that I could be used to enlighten you, to energize you, to bring you back to the paths of decency. But for 40 years, I have failed. But I haven't given up hope. I haven't given up hope. And there are those who would say, Eddie, if you want to make things right, go out there and become a part of the system. Get your car. Get your house and forget about people. People aren't worth it. They don't care about you. Just look after yourself. But I know such ideology as that will lead us all in hell. I know that. Because there might come a time when there's only one car. And how many of us will fight and kill each other for that one car? Rather than come up with a plan, a new plan, that would make transportation available for all of us. I come to you, ladies and gentlemen, speaking on the subject matter fed up, not because I'm angry with you. I realize what has happened. I realize we are naive. I realize we've been trained and brought up this way. But for what end? Who is doing this to us? Who set the stage for this to happen to us? It doesn't really matter. It happened. The thing that matters, and the only thing that matters, is what we're going to do about it. Are we going to keep on traveling this path? Or Or are we going to commit to make a change if the world doesn't change? If every American keeps on, what are you going to do? At the end of the day, will they say that your tracks was laid on the path that was leading to destruction? Or were you on the path of compassion? Were you on the path of love? Were you on the path of life? I'm asking you. Politicians everywhere. I know you go into politics thinking that you're going to work for the people, and you end up working for the status quo. You end up working for the powers that be. There was a time when things were a little bit easier for the people of this nation than they are now. And we were thinking all along that things would be getting better for all of us. And yet the masses of us are sliding down that slope of pain, while a few of us are rising to the high Alps of prosperity. And our lives will end wherever we are, down or up. And if we're up, our descendants will be reaping the rewards. If we're down, our descendants will be reaping the pain and suffering. And yet, we will think that no one is to blame. We will think that everything is going on just fine, and that is the way it should be. We will think that it was designed from heaven for us to go through these things. And I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that is not so. This is a result of a lack of understanding. This is a result of a lack of commitment to do better. When our nation or any nation that's powerful gets a reason to cause aggression against another nation, they can collect a cause to assemble hundreds of thousands of citizens, arm them with guns, and send them into another nation to fight, to kill, and at the threat of being killed, just so that their advocacy could be understood. But when the call is made for amongst those same people, those same ones that's willing to die, those same ones that's willing to kill, and those who are not, when that plea is made for somebody to stand up for peace, for somebody to stand up for righteousness, for somebody to stand up for justice, it seems like everybody starts running to the hills, trying to find a place to hide. We want peace, but we will do nothing for peace. We want prosperity, but we will do nothing for prosperity. We want joy, but we will do nothing for joy. And if we receive it, we want somebody to ride out of a cloud and join us on our side because we are right at the expense of everybody else. We are right, and we don't care who goes to hell. With an attitude like that, I tell you this, everybody will go to hell. But there will come a time, I'm convinced, the world might be wiped out with only maybe one or two human beings still surviving. And the challenge will be to them as it is to us today, to recognize that we own nothing. We come into this world, we bring nothing, we alone a body. And when we leave this world, it is required that we leave the body. Everything that was here when we came remains here. So that is the truest indication that not one thing that exists belongs to any of us. We only have ideas that would allow us to employ those ideas and create from the resources that have been provided that which is necessary to give us sustenance of life. I plead with you today, my fellow Americans. I know you're going to vote for a Republican or a Democrat, and your team might win. But with the ideology that you hold forth within, our nation will be a loser. But I'm not just speaking to this cause alone, for I have stood as I'm standing here today, and I've offered you a choice. I've offered you a choice so you can change from where we are to where I have mentioned to you a place that you can go. I have even offered to be your president. But I, according to your understanding, does not meet the mold. I'm not for Democrats over Republicans. I'm not for Republicans over Democrats. I'm not for black over white. I'm not for white over black. I'm not for one group over another group. I am for peace, justice. I'm for prosperity for every last human being on the earth, not just in America. Why? Because I know that the Creator who made this made it to be that way. And there is no devil anywhere. No devil anywhere that's going to cause me to hate. There's no devil anywhere that's going to cause me to think I'm superior to others. Even though I speak for a beautiful life, I'm still no better than you. Why? Because I know that there is a superior power. A superior power that you cannot look upon with your eyes, but you can see the work thereof. I know that there's a power that is capable to do all things. I know there's a power of love. I know this. I'm not dreaming. I'm not listening to what somebody said. I'm not listening to what I read. I know this. And if anybody gotta die because they know this, believe this, want this, and want to live for this, I'd rather die for this than for what you will be voting for in November. Thank you.